You know, obviously it's a huge fight for me, and I trained accordingly. I really focused a lot on speed, cardio, and really just improving technically everywhere. You know, and that's been a big focus for really my last two camps. I wanted to be in a place where in every aspect of my game I'm getting better technically, not just sparring real hard, not just, you know, training with great fighters, because I think sometimes there are times in my career where I kind of got lost in the names. If I'm training with great guys, I'm sparring with them, I'm getting better. But you don't get better unless you really focus and you're really drilling and there's a deliberate plan in place. And, you know, for these last two camps, I've really had a deliberate plan. Hey, I know I need to work on this, so I need to work with these guys because they're the best in that area. You know, if I need a better butterfly guard, well, these are the guys I need to go work with. And so I think I'm reaping the benefits of doing that.
After that last fight, I remember you mentioned that, you know, maybe I need a little bit extra time off this time. I want to regroup, things like that. Did you have enough time?
No, you know, it just happens that way. I wanted to have some extra time. You know, 2 days before Christmas, obviously most people know my brother-in-law took his own life, and that's been really tough on my family. You know, my mother-in-law lives with me as well, and so getting her and my wife's family through that, and my kids, has been difficult. So, you know, as soon as I beat Sakara that week, they asked me about the Hector Lombard fight. I immediately accepted, even though he wasn't signed yet. And then I got hurt, and you know, this is what I do to pay the bills, so I can't take that much time off, and when you get injured, it delays everything. And so, you know, I try to stay in shape the best I could. With a sling on, I worked out every day. With my strength conditioning coach, I did everything I could do with my sling on so that when I got back, I could take a fight immediately and get right into camp. And, you know, was able to do that, and here I am. So we'll see, you know, with the outcome of this fight, we'll see if I can get any time, but I think I'm fine. Really, this Christmas is going to be, you know, the first anniversary of that, so that's going to be the tough time for me. So hopefully I won't fight right around that date.
You got to spend a little time with Bisping in the lead up to this fight, promotion. What are your thoughts of him inside and outside the cage?
He's funny. He's hilarious. You know, we were here in Toronto, and he had me laughing pretty much the whole time. You know, he's a guy who's gonna say what he thinks no matter what, and you know, I value that. There's no issues with that. So I have a great deal of respect for him as a fighter. Obviously, I've watched every one of his fights, seen his career come up. He's a great fighter. You know, I wouldn't have wanted to fight him if he was a bad fighter. You know, I want to fight him because he has all the things I want. You know, he's one of the highest paid athletes in the UFC. He's on the cusp of a title shot. He's always on the cusp of a title shot. And you know, he actually made a comment that he's been kicking butt in the UFC since I've been shining boots in the military. Now, I wasn't shining boots, but he's right. I remember watching him in the UFC when I was still active duty and you know, training on a heavy bag. And so I'm very proud of the fact that I was able to train as hard as I did and as detailed as I did to get to this point so quickly. And you know, I'm going to take full advantage of this opportunity. I didn't come here to give a good fight. I came here to win, period.
Brian, what are your thoughts on Anderson Silva taking the fight with Bonner? And then after that, he said he sort of has his sights on St. Pierre. He's sort of, I guess, ignoring the middleweight division right now. Kind of, what are your thoughts on that?
You know, Anderson is the greatest fighter of all time. And my thoughts on it are, I think he did a great job stepping up for that card in Rio. Being a guy who's from Brazil and what he did, I think there's, you know, some real honor in that, and giving Stephan Bonner a big fight, which Stephan deserves. You know, I'm really happy for Stephan as well. You know, I can't complain about anything that Anderson Silva wants to do. You know, he's the greatest of all time. I think it's going to take, you know, one of us. There's so many contenders in the middleweight division. It's going to take one of us to clean everybody out before we can honestly say, hey, now I deserve to fight him. Because he hasn't just beat everybody. I mean, he's just putting everybody away. You give the guy one opening, he doesn't just capitalize and score points, he finishes you. So I hope, obviously, the fight with St. Pierre doesn't materialize yet. I hope it's maybe 2 years down the line, but, you know, as a fan, I wouldn't mind seeing it.
You have a memorial on your trunks today. Can you tell us about that?
Oh, sure. You know, I have a couple of them on here, but yeah, you know, I have this on for my last fight in loving memory of my brother-in-law, Lou Rusby Jr. And, you know, great kid. And, you know, we were sad. We'll never really understand why we lost him, but my wife has just been tremendous. She started a foundation in his name that focuses on suicide awareness and suicide prevention. And, you know, I couldn't be prouder of my wife and how she's taking such a negative event. I mean, she lost her best friend. That's what her little brother was to her. And turn it into something positive. I mean, just the other night, she was on the phone for an hour with a woman who's thinking about killing herself, and called through the foundation, and my wife was on the phone with her telling her, you know, all the different things that she needed to tell her and referring her to professionals who can help her, and basically telling this woman that, you know, there's people out there that do care. And suicide's a big deal right now. There's another memorial on here for the Travis Manion Foundation, and then obviously also the organization that I run, Hire Heroes USA, which I'm currently the CEO of. And Hire Heroes helps veterans get jobs, and the Travis Manion Foundation is in name of my best friend who was killed in Iraq. And they actually help veterans overcome different things. They actually fund veterans to go through these different life challenges to overcome the bad memories of the losses that they've endured overseas in war.
What's the name of the foundation your wife is now?
It's called the Lou Rusby Jr. Foundation.
Can you spell that?
Sure. It's LOURUSPI-JR Foundation.
Okay, and can you tell me your brother-in-law's name?
Sure, it was Lou Rusby.
Lou Rusby.
Yeah, Lou Rusby Jr.
Okay, and I want to ask you, obviously we've talked about your experience in the military, and now this. And even before this, you always put things, fighting in UFC, in perspective. How does this situation with your brother further impact you as far as being a fighter?
Yeah, it's a slap in the face. I mean, it really, it shows you always and constantly what's most important in my life. I mean, I'm here doing this right now because I want to provide for my family. I want my girls to go to good schools. I want my kids to do gymnastics and play soccer, and I want to have them grow up in a world where they don't see some of the violence that obviously I've seen. But it's a reminder in life that things aren't always what they seem, with anybody. And this again, I don't take this for what it's not. I don't act like I'm any better than anybody else. I fight, and because of that, people stick microphones and cameras in my face because they're interested in the fight.
When you, like most guys, get bent out of shape when their opponent says things like, I'm going to knock him, I'm going to punch this guy, you don't seem to be impacted by that. Is that part of because of what all you've been through at worst?
Absolutely. I mean, look, I've gone through life and there's been plenty of people who wanted to punch me in the face before. It's really not that big a deal. The worst thing that happens in the octagon is maybe a broken nose, a busted lip, and really the ultimate injury is your pride. That's it. But at the end of the day, my wins and losses aren't going to be spoken at my eulogy, and at the end of the day, it's all about who I am as a man, what's my character, and ultimately that's going to depend on how good of a father I am and how good of a husband I am, not how good of a fighter I am. But I train very hard because that's part of being a good father, providing for my family, and fighting in the UFC has provided a great life for my family, and that's why I've chosen to continue doing it.